Three, two.
Okay, on this episode of the Influencer Interview, I will be speaking with Shailen, aka Grass-Fed Demon. Love that name. I
How's
guess
it
it
going,
speak.
man? Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no problem, no problem. I'm doing well. How you doing?
Pretty good.
Good. I guess it speaks for itself that name, Grass-Fed Demon. But how'd you come up with it? How'd you decide on it?
Yeah, so funny story. Like Demon was actually my nickname, that my wrestling teammates gave me. So when I was wanting to make an Instagram, I was really, trying to think of a funny name, and obviously like grass fed is just like a very big term in the health space because of grass fed beef. So
Yeah,
it kind of went personally. So they were already calling me just Demon on the wrestling mat, so now it's grass fed Demon, which it's pretty catchy, I think.
it is. Yeah, it rolls off the tongue. Yeah, for sure. So
Mm.
why do they call you Demon in wrestling?
I don't know. It's just a nickname one of my teammates gave me.
Yeah,
Who
I guess
knows?
you never know how
Yeah.
they come up. Yeah. There's
Yeah.
it's always a blur. So
Mhm.
yeah, you're definitely you're integrated into the animal-based community. I love your content. You've got a wide range of topics that you touch on, like educational. You show some of your meals. So what inspired you to become an influencer?
One of my friends actually, he had a food account, one of my wrestling teammates, and he would just post his daily meals. So I started doing that, and then,
Mm,
I was looking into the best ways to grow an Instagram account, and everybody was saying posting reels because, then a lot of other accounts see it a lot easier. So just started posting reels, and I had a lot of fun with it. So
mm,
yeah, it kind of just started with like me recording the food that I was eating that I made and talking about it, and then I started like putting myself on the camera. Showing my lifestyle. Yeah, as you said, like some educational stuff, just like kind of having fun with it. Nothing, crazy structured, just kind of pointing the camera at myself and talking. And, surprisingly, like when you're so passionate about a topic, it's just really easy to talk about it. You don't really have to think, it just comes naturally.
yeah, for sure. How'd you gain that passion? Where did you start?
Oh, well, as we mentioned, wrestling, nutrition is a really big part of the sport. So,
Mm,
from a young age, I was always, very particular about my diet because I had to make a certain weight class, and my diet was always just like strict salads, lettuce, carrots, bell peppers, and then grilled chicken because it was really low in calories.
mm,
And, that was a really good way to stay in my weight class, but there's not a lot of nutrients in that food, so I didn't find myself feeling the best, and I was kind of struggling, making weight and feeling good. So just like looking on Instagram at what other athletes are doing. There's a really famous wrestler named Kyle Dake, and he's kind of famous for doing this diet. He's a two-time Olympic bronze medalist, and so I saw him doing it, and that was an animal-based diet: beef, fish, eggs, fruits, and I mean when you're eating like this, it's really easy to stay lean year round. So it made my weight cuts a lot better. And at the same time, you're getting those essential nutrients and feeling your best. So it's kind of the best of both worlds. And, you find once you start eating like this, it's really hard to stop or go back just because, you feel so good all the time. So why would you want to get rid of that?
What do you mean, Sheldon? I thought you need vegetables. I thought vegetables are essential. They come with all the vitamins, and we don't know the vitamins and minerals, but vegetables have all of them.
Yeah, I mean, vegetables they're a very controversial topic because a guy like Paul Saladino, who kind of popularized this animal-based diet, is completely anti-vegetable.
Mhm,
I don't think they're the worst things in the world, but there definitely are some compounds in vegetables like the oxalates, phytic acid, other anti-nutrients, defense chemicals that
mm,
people are going to have bad reactions to. So I think it should definitely be individualized based on your diet, based on how you feel eating these foods. Like if you're someone that's eating a lot of kale every single day and you're not feeling great, like why don't you just try cutting out the kale and see how you feel because you might feel better. Or
yeah,
just find a vegetable that works for you and eat that. Like I really like carrots. I found carrots are really good for me, so I'll eat a lot of carrots. But raw vegetables, I honestly don't do too much of it. I don't know what you do in your diet, but I'm not a huge vegetable guy.
yeah. I agree with pretty much everything you said there. I mean, I think everyone's gonna fall, relatively around the middle. Like they can consume most foods, but I guess the most of the push with animal based is against ultra processed food, right? That seems to be
Exactly, yeah.
like no
So
amount of
like,
ultra processed food
yeah.
is optimal.
For sure. Like vegetables, like there might be some defense chemicals, but at the same time, they are, a plant that's found in nature that we've been eating for a long time. So, a big thing is just like cooking the vegetables eliminates most of the issues that people would have. So, if you tolerate cooked vegetables, and yeah, you should definitely have those in your diet. I don't think vegetables are the enemy at all. As you said, it's the ultra processed food that's what's causing the diseases, making people sick. So there's really no need to, make vegetables the enemy. Vegetables are good.
Yeah, that's a fair point. Yeah, yeah, and I guess touching back on that, like some people might have issues with vegetables. I think pretty much everyone is gonna have issues with ultra processed food. Yeah, definitely
For
not
sure.
natural at all. So
Hmm.
so you did mention that this type of diet, the animal-based diet, helped you a lot with your wrestling. Are you like how serious are you about wrestling? Are you training 3, 4 times a week, 5 times a week? Are you like what's do you have any long-term goals with that, or is it just something that you needed to lock in on your diet to perform the best in?
Yeah, so I'm a senior in college right now. I've been wrestling since I was 9 years old, so it's been a long, long time. Like I'm 21 right now. So wrestling's been a huge part of my life. It's why I chose the college that I go to right now.
Mm,
It's been, what I've put my life into up to this point. And out of season we go, 3 or 4 times a week wrestling, and then the rest is lifting and strength training. But
mm,
in the season, a lot of the times you're wrestling, 2 times a day. You could be doing, double workouts wrestling the entire week. And so you're doing so many practices. It's so natural for your body to feel inflamed and tired. And, I found that animal-based diet was the best way to counteract that because you're limiting the amount of inflammation that you'll have.
right.
And, your body is just consuming the right nutrients. So you're going to naturally feel better and you'll have more energy throughout the day.
Mm,
Before when I was just, eating salads and grilled chicken, I'd find myself relying on a monster before practice just to give myself that energy.
right.
And I don't really have that problem anymore. So yeah, I mean, wrestling, nutrition is a huge part of wrestling, and I think people that will prioritize nutrition will definitely, have better training.
That's a fair point. Yeah. I mean, if you're training 2 times a day, 7 days a week, you must need a lot of food. You must just be consuming so many
Hmm.
calories that your baseline, or I guess, the surplus of calories that you're consuming, whether they're coming from nutrient dense sources or not, is really going to have an effect, probably more so than someone who's not training so rigorously. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, for sure. And a lot of the times, because we're, burning so many calories, you can get away with eating, other foods, like more grain-based foods, because
Okay.
you're working so hard, you're burning so much glucose that your body's just going to naturally burn through those foods. Um, but really, I don't. It's more about how you feel, I think. Like you can get into really good shape and you can look really good. You could be eating like the worst foods in the world and drinking monsters every day. But
Mm,
at the end of the day, it's about how you feel, like mentally, the clarity you have, the energy you have. So I think that's much more important. And one of the reasons I really like the whole foods diet is because you're gonna look good physically, but you're also, gonna feel good. And I think that's much more important.
yeah, like on and off the mat.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
So break down what sort of foods, how you'd use them, like what is a typical day of eating, or why don't you go through if you already know what you're going to eat today, what are you going to utilize?
Yeah, so lately I've been trying to eat a lot more seasonal and foods from like local suppliers. It's because, I think eating fruits are really good and eating meat's really good, but I think it's also important like where the food actually comes from, and that's not really something I thought about till recently. So, take for example like a pound of beef at Whole Foods. You get that beef and you eat it, and there's a lot of nutrients in that beef, but at the same time I looked at the package and that cow was like from Australia. So think about that meat traveled like a very long distance. The soil in Australia completely different. Like the radiation from the sun there completely different. It's just like a completely different environment. So
Mm,
I still think that would be very beneficial to eat. That beef from Whole Foods. You know, buying food from like a local farm just makes a lot more sense to me. So that's something I'm trying to prioritize. Also like fruits and vegetables, like there's not as many fruits in the winter time that are grown, so when you're eating all these fruits, they're usually from a different continent, so it might be a little confusing to the body, and this is very complex, and I'm not saying everyone needs to eat like this, but I'm just trying to implement this and see how I feel. So I've been doing a lot less fruit just because it is the winter time, fruit's a little bit more scarce. So yeah, I can just like walk you through what I do. And in the morning, I'll wake up around, 6:30, 6:45. Try and, read or journal or something, wait for the sun to rise, and then go to my backyard, watch the sunrise to set your circadian rhythm. because watching the sunrise first thing in the morning is one of the best things you can do for your sleep quality. And then probably I'd say like an hour after the sunrise is I'll make my breakfast, and I've been doing a couple duck eggs, which
Sweet.
very similar to chicken eggs, but there's actually a lot more protein in the duck eggs,
Okay.
even more nutrients. So I've been enjoying those just
They're
because it's
delicious
easier
too,
to get the
man.
protein in.
I
Yeah,
think
they
they're
really
better.
are.
Yeah.
I think so too. So I'll do like, 4 duck eggs, a slice of sourdough, and then a glass of orange juice. And I think eggs and orange juice is probably the best way to start the day because you're literally getting every single vitamin and mineral in
Yeah.
existence in those two foods. Like, I can't think of a better way to start the day. You're gonna feel amazing. It's gonna be easy on your stomach. It's light.
Hmm.
So usually I'll do those two things. Lunch will be around noon. I'll have a pound of beef. And then whatever I have on the side with that beef, whether it be avocado or a sweet potato or whatever. And then dinner, probably half a pound of beef or even another pound if I'm really feeling hungry. Depends how much I move throughout the day. And that's mainly proteins and fats right there. So what I'll do for my carbs is orange juice and sourdough in the morning, and then just a lot of raw milk throughout the day. I'll put milk in my coffee. I have it right here, coffee with raw milk and maple syrup. So milk and syrup really for most of my carb sources, and I found when you eat like that, like I'm just satiated throughout the day. I have a lot of energy. I never feel weighed down or tired. So yeah, this is what I'm doing in the winter. In the summer, I'm doing a lot more fruit, um, just because it's a lot more abundant in the summer.
Yeah. Yeah. There's something very intuitive about like seasonal eating and geographical different times of the year. I've been consuming a lot more honey.
Mhm.
Just because it's local, it's actually harvested on on my family's property,
Oh, that's
and
amazing.
getting more of my carbs from honey, from that specific honey, has really like it's really elevated just my. It's helped my gut. It's helped my energy. And it always goes back to this like hormones. I feel every time I elevate the way that I feel in terms of like, changing my sleep schedule for the better or something in my diet, I always feel like it's testosterone. I always feel like
Yep.
something in your metabolism that's working with your testosterone and it's making you burn more calories. I'm not an expert on that topic, so I don't know, but it's just the anecdotal experience, is so vitally important, and I think that's overlooked.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know too much about like the specifics of testosterone, and I've
Hmm.
never got mine tested, but I know like a very good indicator of, how your testosterone is your ability to put on muscle mass.
Hmm.
And so I found myself just like it's so easy to put on muscle mass. I've gone up 3 weight classes throughout college just because every year I'm eating like this and I'm lifting throughout the summer, and it's, putting on muscle is just so easy.
Hmm.
And so because of that, I can make the assumption that like, my testosterone is doing good and that other factors as well. But it's definitely something I'd want to get checked in the future. I think everybody probably should just so they know where they're at. If
Yeah,
there's something they want to change,
yeah, for sure. Yeah, I
for
haven't
sure.
had it
And
checked
yeah,
as
I mean
well, but
honey.
I'd love to.
Yeah, honey is really good for boosting testosterone.
Hmm.
I don't need as much raw honey right now. I probably should be, but just have a lot of maple syrup because my aunt just gifted me like a bunch of maple syrup, so I've been going through that. But I think honey's probably even better than maple syrup. Honey is the best thing.
Yeah, honestly, yeah, they're both so delicious too. They go so well in
Yeah.
recipes and whatnot, and pre-workout too. If you're taking
Hmm.
a couple tablespoons of honey, a couple tablespoons of maple syrup before, and then also do it right after too. Maybe even in the middle, it's really beneficial for that.
Yeah. This summer at my internship, I had a jar of raw honey on my desk, and every hour I would just take a big sip, and it was
Yeah,
unlimited energy. Felt good. Like people thought I was a little bit crazy, but if you know, you know, right? Like anybody who
absolutely.
does it, they know.
Yeah. That saying, what you just said right there, should go for everything in like the holistic animal-based community because so many people don't know. So many people have no
N-
idea the
Nobody
effect that it would
knows.
take on their life if you just locked down on your diet. Yeah. So
Yeah, I mean,
go
yeah,
ahead.
like any single like I don't know if you drink raw milk or not. That's extremely controversial right now,
Hmm.
and everybody's saying like, oh, like raw milk's gonna get you sick, all this stuff, blah blah blah. E. coli. You think about E. coli, the amount of people that have got it from raw milk, almost zero the last 10 years. Look at lettuce. The amount of people that have gotten E. coli from eating lettuce, the numbers are insane. So, if somebody says something to me while I'm drinking a glass of raw milk, I could say the same to them when they're eating lettuce, which is quite common.
Yeah.
And I mean, the chances of them getting it are much higher than me. And I mean, it's just so many things. Like people have these, misconceptions. It's just like information that's been implanted into them, and they're not forming their opinions by themselves. They're just seeing an article on CNN or whatever about a topic, and that's their whole, identity on the topic. And so like with raw milk, for example, everyone says like if you drink raw milk, you're gonna get sick. But they say that while they're sucking on their vape and drinking monsters and all these
Yeah.
other things that are eating the Doritos that are so much worse for you. And
Hmm.
to someone like you or me, it doesn't make any sense, because we understand.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of intuition I find that has to go into nutrition. So many people go ballistic as soon as they see something that they've heard is wrong, you
Hmm.
know? And how many people have actually drank raw milk? I mean, it's really tough to get in Canada too. It's illegal everywhere. You could have all of your products confiscated, fines. I don't know if people have been arrested or not, but it's the laws and the regulations are really tight against raw milk in Canada. But you kind of have to find a local plug. So I've had it a few times,
Hmm.
and and how many people have tried raw milk? Hardly any in
Not many.
2024.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what are they making that basis? What are they making that claim off of? It's nonsense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't, there's a very big producer in California, a raw farm, and there
Mm.
was this whole story that their all their raw milk was contaminated with the bird flu virus. But if you actually read the story, like it was one tiny bottle, and it was like such trace amounts that it's also found in pasteurized milk. But because it was raw,
Demonize it.
they had to quarantine all these things, and the story just spiraled, and it was like non-existent. I mean, I actually I don't know the specifics where I can, talk about it enough, but the story was just so crazy. It was so misconstrued by the media. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, it's really wild how people go ballistic over that.
Hmm.
So you're 21 right now. If you could trace back a little bit to when you started influencing, how old were you, and when you sort of came to these realizations with your diet, and when you started to notice the benefits?
Yeah, so I started say July 2023. Um July 2023 is when I started, and I started with the carnivore diet. Just because I actually got really sick at the end of like my sophomore year of college, and I didn't know what it was. It ended up being like something not too bad, but I was just like really sick, and I was lethargic, and I just was like, I don't know what's happening. Like I'm intermittent fasting, I'm eating a lot of vegetables, I'm doing everything right. Like
Mm,
why did I get sick? But then you start to do more research and learn more, and like, oh, maybe intermittent fasting isn't the best thing in the world, and maybe there's foods I'm eating that maybe aren't the best for me. A lot I was eating mainly like processed foods and stuff just at my school dining hall. And so I started with the carnivore diet just because I saw people talking about it on Instagram, and I didn't feel great doing carnivore. And then I started adding in fruit to my diet, and I added in honey, and I felt really good. And from there, it was just pretty effortless to follow that.
yeah,
And now it's like, it's insane for me to not eat food like that. Like a lot of people do the 80-20 rule, but I'm at the point where it's like 95-5. Just because, I feel so good eating like this.
yeah, yeah. Like the more you prioritize it, the better you're gonna feel.
Yeah,
Yeah, for sure.
absolutely.
There's something about like eliminating ultra because people eat ultra processed food. I think people have vices because they enjoy it. No one
Mhm.
does heroin because they feel terrible when they do heroin. You know, like it's kind of intuitive. So, and same
Mhm.
goes for ultra processed food and alcohol and everything like that. But
Yeah.
yeah, there's something about your hormone. I think a lot of it goes back to hormones. Your the reward hormones in your brain when you give yourself ultra processed food. Of course, it tastes delicious, it's amazing, but it's going to make you feel like crap. And you can actually eliminate those cravings just by switching to like an ancestrally consistent diet.
Yeah, and like if you do, if you are eating really good and you eat like ultra processed food, it's not the worst thing in the world. I think it's also like detrimental to punish yourself if you are doing that.
Hmm.
But I don't really like the idea of like a cheat meal where like let's say like you or I were eating steak and eggs all week. like doing really well, and then Saturday we're like, oh, like now it's time for my cheat meal. And then we're eating like, whatever garbage. It kind of like glorifies the cheat meal where it's like a reward,
Yeah.
when the reward is actually, the ability to buy good food and eat that all week, food that's like nourishing to us, food that, we're putting our hard-earned money into. That's the reward, feeling good. And a lot of people use cheat meals as an idea of like, I'm gonna suffer Monday through Friday, and then Saturday night I'm gonna go get a nice like cheat meal that I actually enjoy. I just think that's a very bad mindset, and that's not something that's sustainable. If you're viewing it as like, I get to eat steak and avocado, like this is an amazing meal, it's gonna nourish me, I'm very blessed. I think just doing stuff like that goes a lot farther. And then, okay, I'm gonna have the occasional, piece of pizza. It's not the end of the world. I
Hmm.
do a really good job. Um, just being consistent, not beating yourself up too much. Like that's the most important thing.
Yeah. And tell me what your thoughts are on this. I guess if, because there's so many influencers out there that are promoting their own diets and nutrition plans and whatnot, but my intuition tells me that if your diet makes you susceptible to desiring and like waiting for that cheat meal, maybe there's something you should change. Maybe there's
Mhm.
something in the 6 days of the week that you prioritize locking in. Maybe you're not doing something right, and in that you and that might cause you to need that cheat meal.
For sure, yeah. I also think, almost any type of food can be made in a healthy way. It's
Mm,
not the burger, that the idea of a burger that's unhealthy. It's the ingredients in the bun. It's the meat that's, corn and soy fed. It's the oils that the burger was cooked in. I can make a burger right now and use sourdough toast, grass-fed beef, cook it in butter, put a tomato on there, and that's delicious. That's good for you. But
mm-hmm.
you're going out to the restaurants and they want to, make it cost effective, so they're using cheaper ingredients, and because of that it makes it unhealthy. If you're really craving ice cream, there's healthy ice cream brands that exist. You can make healthy ice cream. All you need is like milk, cream, honey, and then
Mm-hmm.
vanilla extract. Like it's very simple. So even if you are having these crazy temptations, there's probably a version of that food that works with your own diet. Just might be a little bit more expensive, and it might take a little bit more time to make it, but
Yeah,
I think it's worth it if you are having those cravings.
that's another great point too, is it might take a little bit longer to make it. The convenience of ultra processed and fast food and stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, people don't like to do difficult things anymore. Everyone's looking for the shortcut in every single thing,
Mm-hmm.
and that's not necessarily a good thing. Like maybe it is more time efficient, but in the long run, if you're gonna lose years of your life, or you're gonna live a life where you're barely functional when you're older, is it actually worth it?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. That's you're trading time in the present for time out of your future. Yeah,
Hmm.
exactly. I have another question for you. So as you've been implementing this your holistic approach to your training and your diet and your lifestyle, how have the people around you reacted to it? Whether it's your teammates or your family or whatnot.
It's awesome. Because wrestling is a weight class based sport. This is something that literally affects everybody on our team,
Hmm.
and so nobody is really closed minded to it. I live with four other wrestlers, and I can say, they are very consistent in their, eating habits as well. Like in the season, they're eating eggs, beef, fruit, because they all have to make weight. And so, they
Hmm.
do it once, and they see like, I don't have to starve myself. I can just eat like this. I'm going to be close to my weight class and feel good. And so we have a lot of people on our team that are implementing this diet, and they're having really good results with it. The good thing too is you can bulk on this diet. So a lot of our guys have gone up in a weight class. They're just eating fattier beef. They're eating more sourdough, more potatoes, stuff like that, and it's still pretty holistic, but it's helped them gain weight as well. So you can kind of like scale it to a tool where if you want to lose weight, you can eat like this. If you want to gain weight, you could also eat.
Yeah.
Just eat like more quantity,
Yeah.
specialize a little bit more. And posting on Instagram too, like a lot of the other people in my school have found my account, and have had a lot of messages with other athletes who are eating like this, or like starting to lock in using the Santa Cruz electrolytes, all these different things that can
Hmm.
that can help them. People of all different sports. So for me, it's been just like very rewarding to see all these people message me that like they're starting to like implement certain things into their lifestyles, and it's helping them. Even if you're not an athlete, this can still benefit you. So I mean, it's been awesome. And my wrestling coach also has been a very big supporter.
Yeah, you
He
must be
calls me
happy.
Dr. Savur now. Yeah, he calls me Dr. Savur as a joke.
Oh yeah,
So yeah, he's been awesome. My teammates are doing really well doing it. So I think it's been very beneficial for our team.
yeah, yeah. They're doing it for a reason, for sure.
Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah, like it's there. There's definitely a swarm of holistic approaches to diet and lifestyle recently, and the people are doing it for a reason. You know.
Yeah, I think another big factor is like now like it's kind of become intertwined with politics. So like
Mm,
RFK talks about it so much. So in America, everybody is seeing like, oh, like beef tallow and French fries. Like what does that mean? Like why should we be frying our French fries in beef tallow? Just 'cause- I mean, there's so much talk about it now. So for better or worse, like people are opening their eyes to it. They're learning more information. So even if it isn't always being like the information isn't always portrayed in the best way, people are reading about it, people are thinking about it, and I think overall it's going to be super beneficial. Like I just saw In and Out on their Twitter, they were talking about moving their French fries to beef tallow, which would be huge.
that's cool, man.
So
Yeah,
if we have a couple like major brands start doing it, just and they all start like it'd be awesome.
yeah. That's a good point you made earlier too about like you could stay lean and you can also bulk when you're on an animal-based diet. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, for sure.
Hmm.
I mean, I used to have a lot of trouble during my Muay Thai competitions. When I started implementing healthier alternatives and carbs, I found it a lot easier to cut down. And then once I made that initial weight cut, I did the fight, and I didn't like I stayed locked in. I didn't change anything about my diet. I just adjusted my calories for how much I was training, and I just stayed lean. It was so foreign to me that like wait
Yeah.
why am I fight lean? Why
Hmm.
am I fully shredded and I'm eating as much food as I want? I'm not hungry after a meal, and then as I switched more to like weightlifting, trying to put on more muscle, um, I actually have increased my calories since then, but I'm just as lean and I'm not hungry after my meals. That's
Yeah.
weird. I
Hmm.
mean, now I understand why, but it was so foreign at the beginning that like I could stay lean and I'm not hungry. You know?
It's
Yeah, like
great. I mean, it literally will just like optimize your hormones. Like if you're
yeah,
somebody who has a lot of the excess fat, what that food is going to do in your body is try and remove that excess fat and build muscle at the same time. If you're somebody who's, a lot skinnier and is trying to put on weight, like it's going to help you put on weight. Like your body knows what it needs, and
yeah,
eating whole foods is going to help your body get what it wants.
yeah. Like tapping into your hormones. That's so true
Hmm.
what you just said, that your body knows what it wants. If you're ill, if you're sarcopenic, like you need more muscle mass, you have too much fat, simply just locking in your hormones, getting your testosterone up if you're a guy, you'll achieve those goals. Just doing whatever you need to do.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because like processed foods, like the biggest issue is it messes with your hormones, it messes with your satiety signal. So like, I mean, if I was to get like a pint of Ben and Jerry's right now, it's probably like 1,400, 1,500 calories.
Mhm.
Like the average person could eat that in one sitting. Then think
Yeah.
about how many calories that is.
If
Just
that
because
was
like it's
beef and
every
fruit.
single bite. Yeah, it's impossible to eat, 2,000 calories of beef in one sitting. It'd be so difficult. Or
Yeah.
not impossible. It'd be very difficult. And I mean, you feel stuffed halfway through.
Yeah.
A pint of Ben and Jerry's, like the average person can get that down so fast because every single bite is sending like these mixed signals to your brain and it's wanting more and it's
Hmm.
craving that processed sugar. And that's why people are, overeating and over consuming the foods. It's literally like designed to mess with your body to send your body mixed signals, and you just don't have that issue with Whole Foods.
Yeah. Yeah. Like it's very intuitive. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
Um, Something about the nutrients, it'll send signals to your brain that you've had enough. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Have you ever
Mhm.
made raw milk ice cream?
No, I haven't. I've never had it. Oh, actually, I've had ice cream that's from lightly pasteurized milk.
Okay.
I was living in New York this summer, and I would go to the farmers market with my aunt and my cousins, and they had this like ice cream, and it was I guess it was as close to raw as is legal in the state of New York,
Hmm.
and it was really good ice cream. There was no processed sugar in it. It was just like cream, milk, maple syrup, and then fruit, and it was delicious. And I would sometimes I would eat like a whole pint in one sitting just because it was so good. and I
Yeah.
didn't feel any different. I didn't gain any weight from it. It was so good.
Yeah. Like
I
it'll actually bring you
Haagen-Dazs too.
satiety.
Yeah, Haagen-Dazs isn't raw, but it's very minimal ingredient, especially like their like chocolate, vanilla, strawberry flavors.
Mm,
And so our school grocery store sells Haagen-Dazs ice cream. So if I want a treat, get some Haagen-Dazs ice cream. I mean, it's not a whole food, obviously, but of the desserts that you could have, it's on the cleaner side.
yeah.
And so yeah, we'll eat Haagen-Dazs if you're really craving ice cream. There's ways, get what you want. There's healthy pizza places that exist that are seed oil free. There's a really good app called Seed Oil Scout. You can find these places. Uh, there's ways to work around and make it so that you can enjoy your life and enjoy what you're eating and also hit your goals at the same time.
Yeah. I don't know if you've noticed this as well, but after cutting out ultra processed food, I mean, if everyone on the earth did it exactly the way I did it, I honestly don't think a lot of these brands that I don't I guess I'll name some names like Siete. That's actually the only one I could think of, but like, you know, healthy forms of pasta.
Hmm.
I don't know. I don't really care to have them. I prefer to have just beef and fruit. Maybe I'm just a simple guy,
Yeah.
but like I don't need to pretend that I'm having craft dinner. I
Hmm.
don't know. I don't know. Is that
It makes perfect sense.
yeah,
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it makes sense. There's a lot of good brands out there, like Primal Kitchen,
yeah,
Mark Sisson. They make like sauces and stuff. So I bought like a Chipotle mayo sauce. Like it was just like avocado and like basic stuff, nothing bad,
yeah,
or avocado oil. And so I was putting that on like my sourdough buns and I was making burgers, and I was like, wow, this tastes just like a burger I could buy at a restaurant, and this is not bad for me. Like there's a lot of good ways to do it. Siete does a
yeah,
really good job. There's a company called Massa Chips I've seen, and they make their
yeah.
chips with
Beef
beef tallow.
tallow.
I've never
Yeah,
had it, but
I'd love to try
it's
those.
interesting.
Yeah,
Yeah, I've never had beef tallow fries either, but that's definitely something I want to try eventually.
yeah. Actually, there was a restaurant at a cottage up a bit north of me, and then I had beef tallow fries. Amazing, amazing. I had them
Yeah.
with a steak. Yeah, yeah, for sure.
Oh,
It, it's it's
it's on my list.
it doesn't. I mean, it tastes like a French fry, but it's much better. It's actually tastier.
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And like if I were to go to McDonald's and pair them side to side, I would even back in the day when I would have eaten a large French fry and a Big Mac and a soda from McDonald's, I would still have taken the beef tallow ones. They're just tastier.
Yeah. McDonald's fries are really bad, man.
Yeah.
I used to eat a lot of them, like before I knew anything about nutrition, just because
Hmm.
McDonald's was like cheap. It was always like the go-to fast food place. But you look at the ingredients and you compare it to like even what McDonald's has in the UK, like it's night and day.
Yeah.
A lot of people will say like it's probably healthier to smoke a cigarette than eat a bag of McDonald's fries, as crazy as that sounds.
Yeah. That's wild. And then one thing I noticed after having the beef, I couldn't finish the beef tallow fries. Like it wasn't a huge
Mm,
serving; it was just a little cup, and I couldn't
mm,
finish them. Whereas back in my prime, I would easily take down a large or extra large serving of McDonald's fries. It would
yeah.
not be an issue. Yeah, and a
Hmm.
burger and a drink. It's
Yep.
crazy. It's so
Uh-huh.
obvious. Yeah, when like
It
as soon
is.
as
Yeah. I
you,
mean, yeah.
yeah,
Like fat is so satiating.
yeah, yeah,
That's why like um the US, like the high carb diet, people are constantly hungry because like
hmm,
these grains are not going to fill you up the same way like proteins and fats do.
yeah,
So you eat a pound of like a fatty ground beef, you're going to be stuffed for hours, but most people are starting their day with like bagels and cream cheese or fake butter.
yeah,
That's just not a good way to start your day. You're going to be hungry all day. It's going to lead you to overeat.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. All right. Well, thanks for coming on the show. I guess that's a great way to end it off. It was a pleasure to chat with you, Shailen. I look forward to seeing more of your content. What'd you think?
Yeah, thank you for having me.
No problem, man. No problem. All the best to you.
Yep. Yeah, have a good one.
You too.